Hello everyone and welcome to tonight's kinda late night match. I'm here with Jaxtaxman. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty well. Excited to watch some more games of HOTS. Always good to get some NGS action going on. Always good to see two teams going at it.
Yeah, unfortunately there's only one match. Well, fortunately because obviously everyone is probably busy Friday night. But there's only one NGS match today that already got claimed, so I figured, why not look at some more Div C action this week with the Found Vikings versus Wood League. One of the teams, Found Vikings being very dominant so far throughout Div C, while Wood League has been a little bit of the middle of the table.
Yeah, but really in Div C East right now, middle of the table is very much in the thick of things. We have a whole lot of teams very close in points, so anything could happen. Found Vikings have looked very good, but Wood League, no slouches in this tight race.
Exactly, and now as we start to learn the game, we can at least look and see what these teams decide to draft here. On the side of Found Vikings, very strong Ana, Greymane, Kel'Thas, Dahaka, Diablo comp. While on Wood League side, they had Blaze, Dubrak, Tyrande, Hanzo, Gul'dan. Very good for zoning out, at least on the Shrine.
Yeah, I really like both of these comps. You see both of them have good amount of wave clear. Gul'dan, of course, so good on this map, and Hanzo has some good wave clear too. But from the side of Found Vikings, you see the Greymane and the Kel'Thas are both very good. Both have very strong main tanks, strong solo laners, strong healers. These are both very standard, very strong comps, and I look forward to see what each team can do with it.
Now as we load into the match first, it will be the Found Vikings with Dicky on Dahaka, Cyan on Kel'Thas, Contender on Greymane, PJ Tim on Diablo, and Sailor Sky on the Ana.
And on the red side, playing for Wood League, we've got JMac on Anubarak, we've got Korix on Blaze, Running Idiot on Tyrande, Droopy on Hanzo, and Kavlor on Gul'dan. So here they go, right to the center of the lane, not wasting any time here. It's going to be an exciting match here in Game 1.
And as we look to the talents, we see Ana going grenade build, which has emerged as the dominant talent pick, or build at least so far, as we see actually PJ Tim going and trying to look for Kavlor. However, he gets bursted down pretty quickly and is forced to back up. But a huge drag onto Running Idiot there, and that will allow for First Blood to go over to the side of the Found Vikings.
And that's the most fun part of playing Dahaka is when you land those tongues and your team is right there to follow up with you. You see that right now Dahaka is staying with this team, only just now is rotating to the solo lane, which allowed him to have his team behind him when he lands those drags, which is the best feeling in the world when your team follows up on your CC. And it's not something you always see with Dahaka because he's usually sitting in the solo lane on his own.
Meanwhile, JMac was doing a good job trying to control the rotations. However, unfortunately, that allowed for Found Vikings to put a ton of damage, forcing for them to back off. As now the Found Vikings are looking onto that camp, with Greymane being fantastic at taking camps early.
Yeah, this is a really nice job by Found Vikings. They went down and they got a huge wave clear advantage in the bot lane and sent people up to keep soaking that mid lane while the rest of the team peeled off to take the camp. So they lost no experience. They get the camp early, and now they are looking to force an invade even. This is a great early advantage for Found Vikings.
Yeah, PJ Tim going on the Droopy, and they're able to take it out with Contender on the Dahaka. Now they're starting to zone him out. Dahaka burrowing in here in order to just confirm the invade on this camp. And Dahaka's been doing a really good job so far in this off lane. He was able to get Blaze low and force him to tap already. And however, he wasn't able to clear the wave before he rotated down, so that will be a wave of Lost Oak for the side of Found Vikings.
I think that was just oh, the team's fighting, I need to be here now teleport, but honestly, I don't think he needed the TP. They'd secured that kill, and he lost the soak because Blaze was there to keep pushing out, but that was a fantastic job to secure the Hanzo kill by the rest of the team. I thought he was out for sure with that natural agility, but they caught him at the last second before he could get away.
Yeah, as now Wood League just trying to finish clearing up these camps by the Found Vikings. And the Found Vikings are doing a good job of rotating between lanes, trying to see if they can catch another member of Wood League out. A good sleep dart by Sailor Sky is, again, it's going on to Droopy. Unfortunately, though, he drags a minion, or, excuse me, pushes a minion instead of Droopy, so he will be able to get away.
Now, what's a little interesting, I'm going to point out, is that Dahaka took one who collects at level 4, which increases the essence collected from minions by 50%, which is a perfectly valid talent to take, but you often see teams opting into the Hero Stalker, which grants extra essence from takedowns, but also Hero Stalker grants XP every time that your W hits a hero, and that is where you get a lot of value from that talent. But instead, you see Dahaka opting into the minions talent. It'll be interesting to see if he can get more or less essence out of that. It seems to imply that he doesn't think he'll be fighting a lot, but right now, he's in trouble. He's in a fight.
Yeah, Dicky just trying to get a couple minions here. In fact, is actually getting more minions than Woodleague is, as his team is starting to rotate now, but now they're caught right now. Cyan with the fantastic stun, and Gul'dan gets bursted down. Corix is not out here yet, but he's able to charge away. Contender goes in looking to do some damage, but he's just able to get out for Blaze.
And that was very nice work by Dicky on the Dahaka. I thought he was in huge trouble. He had 2-on-1, but he had the skeletal defender advantage. He didn't die, and he held strong, and his team just beat out Woodley on the rotate, and it ended up going fantastically for Found Vikings there, finding the kills, and that'll lead to them taking this first Punisher, barring anything crazy. And there it goes.
And as they finish up this Punisher now, they can look to do some siege damage here in the top lane. However, because it's the first Punisher, even though it is arcane, it's a very weak Punisher, so they're looking mainly to get the wall, and anything bonus with damage onto the fort would be fantastic for them.
Yep, there's the leap. Woodley able to successfully eat the leap, and they are bursting down this Punisher. Looks like Found Vikings are going to go for sidewall. They're not going to take the whole wall. They're going to try to push for this fort, and it's working for them. They're pushing Woodley back. Punisher gets the second leap up, and Woodley's just giving them a whole lot of space. Found Vikings get a lot of damage on the fort. They can't take it, but still a very nice push by Found Vikings there.
Yeah, the Punisher plus Kael'thas able to do a ton of damage onto Cyan on that Nubrak, forcing for them to back off and not be able to go in with their Nubrak being so low. But Found Vikings are actually looking to see if they can finish off this fort now. PJ Tim going in, looking to see if he can catch out Cavalier, but instead just deciding to back off zone for his team as Contender is able to finish off the fort.
And something funny that was maybe lost a little bit, both of our solo laners are down here double soaking, and what was interesting was Dicky on the Dahaka was rotating from bot to mid, Corix as Blaze was rotating mid to bot, and both of them rotated so aggressively into the other team side of the map that they walked in front of one another. Not behind one another, but in front of one another. It was quite funny.
As PJ Tim is looking for the counter engage after Dicky got caught a little bit there, but he's taking too much damage here and is forced to get out.
Blaze does not want to give up this brawl, and Dahaka is happy to answer by tonguing him. And now Dicky will just back off and go to lane, but right now Woodleague, especially with Corix on the Blaze, very brawl happy. They see the other team and they want that fight, but and this is the time they have to take the fight because Found Vikings is approaching 10 with about a full level lead, so you got to take the fight before 10 if you're going to take it.
Yeah, it's Found Vikings actually being the ones to look for the fight here. However, they weren't able to do enough damage, and Woodleague had just enough time in order to finish off that camp here. But they are able to end up getting the clear onto that camp, and now make a push down into this bot lane.
Now, Droopy finishing his quest, the Hanzo Scatter Arrow quest. Right now might be the time to take a fight if you're Woodleague because it's before 10, but Gul'dan isn't here, so they don't want to engage 4v5, and they're just going to have to give that bot camp because they don't have anyone soon enough. The Haka will be out, so they could theoretically engage 4v4, but now they're down ults.
Yeah, Dahaka being in the bot lane though all this time has allowed for Woodleague to really close the gap in the terms of experience, so it won't be that long that they'll be down ultimates compared to Found Vikings.
Yep, and now ultimates being picked up on the side of Woodleague, both teams getting their ultimates. Looks like a pretty standard fare from the side of Woodleague with the Bunker Cocoon, Shadowstalk, Dragon Arrow, Horrify. Hold on a second, there's a big fight here.
Yeah, Contender is able to go in and finish off Hanzo there as he's staying in, but however, the counter engage is coming on now after Cocoon has stopped, as Corix going in trying to see if he can get Cyan. However, he just doesn't have enough, and now PJ Tim is able to pop that lightning breath. See if they just cannot get enough damage onto Corix and JMac. PJ Tim still looking for more, finds Cavalier, gets the flip. However, Cavalier will see if bomb does indeed kill him.
Wow, and so there was a Nano kill toss in that fight, which was, you know, Nano should go out onto Kael'thas in this team comp. That's the guy that needs that, the cooldowns and the spell damage the most. But it was interesting to see Blaze had no fear. He was just, he threw himself right at Cyan. He was going in, and he was gonna die or he was gonna get kills, or both. And it ended up that he did not die or get kills, actually, but his teammates did die, so it didn't turn out fantastically for him. But we do see Nano Boost go for the throat, Phoenix, Isolation, and Lightning Breath coming out from the side of Found Vikings. Again, fairly standard. Oh, Dickie's in a little bit of trouble here.
Yeah, Dickie was just trying to get a little bit of progress. However, he gets cut out by the team of Wood League. So now they're a 5v4 for this objective phase, and with Gul'dan having so much clear, they should be able to actually take this before he's able to get back. As Blaze actually pops Bunker now just to be able to zone out Contender. Fear goes on to him, but fears him away, as now they turn their attention onto PJ Tim here, trying to see if they can burst him down, as a Nubrak burrows in here. However, it's not enough, as Contender going in on the backline, forcing a response. However, he gets very low. Now Cocoon is out onto PJ Tim, and he's very much isolated.
We saw the Hanzo pop his arrow before the fight even started to secure that kill on Haka, with Diablo going down now. He had souls, he will be back.
However, Kavler steps up a little bit too much there, and Contender is free to punish him, as now this turns into a 5v4. Diablo had souls and is coming back right now.
And you also see the ult advantage in the side of the Found Vikings. They still have Isolation and Lightning Breath, whereas no ults are currently online for Woodley. Korik's going in just to try to poke and steal a few Skeletal Defenders away, but it won't be enough. It looks like the second Punisher is going to go over to the side of Found Vikings. And it's still early game, nothing's fully decided yet, but when you're down a full level and you've lost both of the first two protectors, this is the time where you start to get a little nervous if you're Wood League.
Yeah, Contender has just been able to get some free damage onto the backline, as we see PJ Tim actually diving onto JMac. And that's going to warrant a response by the tanks of Wood League here, as he's just been able to really burn down running Idiot or Cav or whoever he's been able to set his focus on, even if they're not out of position.
He's in trouble here.
Yeah, as the response goes on to him, he's forced to pop Bunker. Now, Korix gets flipped by PJ Tim, but he is able to charge away a huge Hanzo arrow. Looks like it will be enough to save his life.
Wow, that Hanzo arrow is huge. Korix was way out of position in the bot lane, pushed so far up for those minions. And I know you're desperate for soak, but you have to be careful, especially when the enemy team is so far pushed up. But the arrow from Droopy was fantastic, and it will save the life of Blaze. They are now on even talents at 13. They're trying to stop the bleeding. They have lost all of their forts and have taken none. But with the even talent tiers, and once the Horrify and the Arrow come back up, or if they can find a good opportunity in terms of the number of people, they can look to engage here, even though they're a level down, not a talent tier. But, you know, the ults are 5 versus 2. Everyone on Found Vikings has theirs up, while only the Shadowstalk and the Cocoon are up. Although, Cocoon, very impactful ult. It could be all you need if you're in the right position, but first, they just need to clear this wave.
Yeah, something else. Kavler was able to finish that Echoed Corruption off pretty quickly, so he's going to have a large damage boost coming out from him, as Phoenix is used just to be able to try to zone out Wood League. So they were able to do a lot of damage to Dickie, and Found Vikings are just going to decide to back up.
Yeah, that was a kind of early Phoenix, but he did want to help zone out Wood League and make sure the camp could get a little more push than it would otherwise. And when the Phoenix only has that 60-second cooldown, not anything too long, you figure it will be up the next time you want it for a fight, because now you'll see it's only on a 20-second cooldown, and the only fight they'd be taking right now is if they had caught that Anubarak out, and if you get that 5 versus 1, you do not need the ult. So by the time that there's a full-scale team fight, and especially by the time there's the next shrine, they will have it back up. It's only 5 seconds away now, so really, it's honestly one of those things where you can just throw it out there. If you don't get a ton of value, it's okay, because you'll have it the next time you need it.
As now the Found Vikings are just looking to see if they can pick up 16 here before they force a team fight out. Just taking their camp, Wood League also taking their Shaman camp in the top lane, and now Wood League respecting this and rotating down in order to try to catch up and soak before the next objective phase.
Yeah, and the problem here for Wood League is that they are gonna be down 16 here in just a second for this altar phase. There it is. And so Wood League kind of on the back foot here. They're constantly having to clear all of the lanes because all of their forts are down, so there will be catapults everywhere. Oh, they have to fight now without the Haka, though. This is the fight they have to take.
Yeah, as PJ Tim gets bursted down after getting cut out there, as the Cocoon does end up going out. Dicky actually being found behind the enemy team. However, Wood League having to back up, tap up real quick, get healed up. But they are up 5v4, so they can actually take this next fight.
Yep, they do have to be careful, though. Especially Dahaka now has to be careful. Dicky, he's going to back up. But even though you have that fight before, you still have to be careful. You are still down that 16, and some of these resources are kind of low. Blaze very low on mana and about 2/3 health. Gul'dan at about half health. And that bomb coming out, Gul'dan is going to be very low. So they have to be careful about this engage, even though they can start trying to force Vikings off.
Yeah, Nano was used on Cyan there in order to see if they could get some engages. A nice tongue there by Dicky on a JMac. However, they're not able to do much damage. Now, Contender looks like he might be caught here. Fantastic burrow there by JMac. Looking to put some damage on, but the healing is just too much by Sailor Sky. And the damage is instead turned around back onto JMac, as now Found Vikings are looking for a fight.
Wow, and you may not, I don't know if you saw it, but Kael'thas dropped a bomb over onto Drupi on that Hanzo, and while it got him quite low, what also importantly happened was it was spread to Gul'dan, and it almost killed Gul'dan, so Gul'dan had to play very far back. And now Dahaka getting Tunneling Claws value, which is interesting. You don't always see that Tunneling Claws, but you see it here, and that's the reason you take it, as a get out of jail free card in a situation like that. Gul'dan just barely managing to get the back off. And now Found Vikings, they know that this shrine will be theirs because there's not a lot Wood League can do to back clear those last 5 skeletons. So they're just going to take bot camp and see if they can get a little more value before they finally finish this shrine by taking the last defender.
Yeah, they do have to be a little careful. Gul'dan with just one Fell Flame could honestly just get 5 skeletons. However, because of that late fight trying to get the kill onto the Dahaka, it did force Wood League to back off completely, as the Punisher is taken here by the Found Vikings.
And this Punisher will be pushing Keep with a camp and a catapult behind it. And the front wall already starting to fall. This could be a pretty big push here for Found Vikings. And if they find a pick, maybe then they could start pushing on core. If they find 2 picks, that might be all she wrote. But here goes the Punisher. It's running towards the mid keep, which is a good job by Wood League to draw it off course. But now it's heading back towards that bot keep, which is steadily being burned down under half health already. And this is getting a little scary for Wood League here.
Bunker having to be used by Corex, as they just need to try to burn down this Punisher so it doesn't. But however, Corex is caught out there, forced to use Cocoon there as they decide to engage here. Now, right now, Lightning Breath being popped there, trying to see if they can burn down. They can get a Nubrak there. Nice job by Contender, as eyes are turning towards Core, but I don't think they can actually finish here.
Well, it's already at 70%. They have a lot of burn here. It might be close if they decide to race for it. I think they might be able to get it here. If they get another pick, they certainly can. So Wood League has to be very careful, but they really need to get this clear out because their core is falling dangerously low.
Yeah, as actually Wood League is being forced back here, and they just kind of gave the ground to Found Vikings, who will take game number 1.
Yeah, you see there were still 2 out of the 3 of the Javelin minions from that bot camp. That ended up being what was making the difference. That damage they were pumping out onto the core allowed them to finish it off there. Okay. So that'll be the first game on Infernal Shrines going over to Found Vikings. Final kills were 8-3 in favor of Found Vikings. And really, just a very strong game all around by them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they were able to get some good dives, and Contender was putting a really good amount of pressure onto the back line, was able to get some crucial kills there in team fights. And that allowed for them to take game number 1.
Yeah, and you want to hear some numbers that I think will help point to the disparity in this game? Where if you look at the level 1 regen globe quests for Kael'thas and Anubarak, Kael'thas, of course, having the Mana Addict, and Anubarak having the Regen Master, where there are only 20 globes required to complete Kael'thas's quest. He ended with 46, and well, Anubarak needs 30 to finish his quest. He was only able to get 20 throughout the course of the game. So Kael'thas had over double the amount of globes of Anubarak, and he only needed 2/3 of the amount of globes to finish his quest. And game 2, we will be heading to Towers of Doom.
Unfortunately, because it is a replay, we won't necessarily be able to see like map picks, drafts. But Towers of Doom is an interesting choice here. A much, well, I wouldn't say much bigger, but definitely a lot macro heavier map compared to Shrine.
Yeah, and really, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, that was a very strong performance by Found Vikings, but it didn't really seem to be in any one particular area that they were outplaying them. They had good macro and good micro. It was they found them, caught them out on a few nice picks where it was just better positioning, but a lot of those team fights really could have swung either way, and Lost Vikings just ended up getting the better end of the deal. So now, here we go, getting ready for Game 2 on Towers of Doom. Alex Straza, Dahaka, Anubarak, Kael'thas, my Ev from Found Vikings, Leoric, Garrosh, Azmodan, Hanzo, Tyrande from Wood League. And these are kind of similar to what we saw last game, just modified a little to fit the map. Let's hear a little bit about who's going to be running each hero.
Yeah, as we started off here on the side of the Found, actually, give me 1 second here. Oh, I will not be able to pause, as I believe they're on the wrong side. Question mark?
We have Found Vikings on the left,
Okay.
Wood League on the right.
On the side of Found Vikings, excuse me, we will have Sailor Sky here on the Alex Straza, PJ Tim on the Nubrak, Cyan back on the Kael'thas, Contender on the Maev, and Dicky back on the Dahaka.
All right, and over on the red team for Wood League, we've got Droopy playing Hanzo once more, Running Idiot staying with Tyrande, J-Mac playing Garrosh this time, Korix switching over to Leo, and Kavlor playing Azmodan.
Korix is just trying to get some damage on the backline here, forced to get out. Contender actually pursuing him with the rest of his team. However, he will be able to get out as the teams rotate back into their lanes.
And I think I really like from Found Vikings just kind of sticking with what works a little bit. I mean, you can tell that Cyan really likes playing that Kael'thas, and it was working out for him. I mean, he was finding really nice bombs, some nice circles. Oh, not so nice for my Ev as she goes down, but I like it. I like to stay with what works. And you've got, I mean, the rest of the team swapped other than the Dahaka and the Kael'thas. Speaking of Dahaka, he actually finds Leoric in the top lane. But those two heroes were really part of the backbone of that team, and I wouldn't be surprised if in draft Wood League banned out that Diablo, because that was the other huge menace in the last game.
Yeah, going back to that Maev kill, it was a fantastic predictive stun on Running Idiot, coupled with the throw by J-Mac there, in order to eventually get the kill. As Contender being threatened a little bit again, however he's able to get out with that blink. As now both teams have taken their camp and are positioning to try to see if they can escort their camp in.
Yep, and this is the classic on Towers of Doom. Both teams have their camp, and they want to escort it in, looking for a little more. And right now, it looks fairly even. I think Found Vikings are doing a little bit better job of burning that camp down, because it will go down here. But in terms of lane positioning, neither team really getting pressured out yet, but Found Vikings starting to find a little bit of an edge. And if you look to the mid lane, that was a good clear by Leoric, forcing Maev to rotate up, and now Dahaka and Leo are fighting it out in the top lane. We'll see if Dahaka can find another kill.
Yeah, as Korix is just barely able to get away, and Found Vikings were able to get 2 sappers in order to do some damage to that tower there. They rotate back, and they're able to catch out PJ Tim with the throw, but he's just able to burrow away. So, JMac has been able to get a couple throws already this game. Should be interesting with this alter phase to see if he can get a couple more.
Yep, and that's what you love as a Garrosh, is finding those throws, getting in the back line. But that's part of the strength of the Anubrak, is that if you get caught out like that, as long as you don't get stunned before you are able to hit your E button, you can just burrow right on out of there. Now it looks like the teams are going to be fighting bot and trading top.
As JMac looking to see if he can get a throw. Just throws Contender out there, as they've already gotten a good amount of damage onto Cyan. Droopy really getting some nice Q damage, but now forcing Sailor Sky to actually pop that Dragon potentially a little early. Dicky not able to hit his tongue, as Korik's forced to actually stun out onto that Cyan, or stall out onto Cyan in order to prevent the cap, as now they're looking potentially for regage. Contender goes in, gets the tether onto 2. However, there wasn't any follow-up that's able to assist with that, as Korik's now again having to stall out. Gets dragged actually by Dicky there, is forced to pop his Unstoppable and get out. JMac actually looking pretty low, but it's the same for PJ Tim, as both main tanks are being really low, forcing both Wood League and the Found Vikings just to be poking here until their main tanks are able to get a little bit of health.
Yeah, and this is getting to be a very long fight. Oh, both these guys are in trouble. The BP boys both go down, Garrosh and Dahaka. So it looks like we'll see a continued extended fight here.
As Korik's now being the focus of Found Vikings, he's able to get slow, but he is not able to get out. As actually Wood League looking to potentially re-engage here with the low health bars of Found Vikings. Just looking to try to poke here with Droopy. Able to get some damage on the Contender. Oh, the scatter just not enough.
That was a very nice stun, but yeah, like you said, there's not quite enough damage to take it down. Leoric is back up, so they can look. Wood League can look to re-engage here. PJ Tim very low, very low. He will die to that Garrosh stun.
Yeah.
Wow.
JMac comes in, able to do the damage and get the throw onto Kael'thas for the kill, but Contender looking to see if he can get tether, but is not able to get the pull in, as Wood League now goes up 32 to 36 and is looking for the invade onto the camp of Found Vikings.
And let me just say, that was such a long fight, and it was very well done with Wood League. And really, that fight was won mostly off the fact that they had a Leoric, because getting Leoric to respawn faster and right in the middle of the fray was pretty much what won that fight, getting the extra body back so much faster than Found Vikings did.
As we see Dahaka taking the camp in the top, and Found Vikings just being able to clear the wave and are actually looking for an invade of their own with Dahaka tunneling in.
Yep, and this is what Dahaka gives you power to do. You see that top lane is huge. He did not finish the top camp, but top wave was still very pushed in, so he was able to just go ahead and rotate down. Leoric forced to respond to the top lane to prevent too much damage that he's done to the structures up there.
And Dicky actually got thrown behind the wall, and Asmodee is finished off, but Droopy is able to finish off the kill onto Dicky, as now the attention is turning on to PJ Tim. After Found Vikings already capped that camp, Droopy doing a lot of damage here. The tether by Contender, and it looks like PJ Tim is able to get the finish off there. Round running Idiot being threatened here, gets a huge stun there, and that might just be enough to allow for him to get out.
Wow, it was very, very close for running Idiot. Does manage to get the escape, but still very well done from Found Vikings, just letting Cyan sit on that camp and finish it off as Kael'thas while they kept looking and looking and finding that value just to get a huge push here in the bot lane. They're actually down in XP at the moment, but by a very small amount, and they have good damage out on that fort, even if they won't be able to take it right this moment.
It's a huge orb by Cavalier doing a ton of damage. Contender has already used his blink. However, Drag by Dicky's going to at least stall out the attack a little bit by Wood League, as attention turns on to him. The stun and the throw, as we see this alter's already being taken but denied by Dicky already. However, the damage by the laser is not going to be enough. However, Cyan forced to go deep in there, trying to get the stall. PJ Tim does not get it in time, as now Wood League looking to back out after the successful cap, making them go up 28 to 36.
That was a very well done by Wood League, just putting that pressure out, especially onto to Dicky on the Dahaka. and also onto Cyan, all of those members were starting to feel the pressure. They had to back up, and it allowed them to get that free cap, and they now have a half-level lead with 10. Although Dahaka in the top lane soaking up, it's about to be 10 for both teams, so yep, we're now going to see ults from both sides, so no chance to fight with that ult advantage. But it was still well done by them to respond after they were getting heavily pressured under their own bot fort.
Something to notice is Droopy did take the Q talent at level 1 and has been able to complete that already. Meanwhile, Cavalier on the Azmodan is already up to 152 stacks, so it should be important to see when he hit that 200. So they actually do pop Tyranda's ult there with the Shadow Stalk to do some healing, but they're not actually looking to go in.
Yep, and it's up in the top lane. Dahaka actually took the top camp, and so he is getting some nice push. And now in the bot lane, the rest of Found Vikings have found their camp and will push with that. And so good lane pressure, but watch out, Maev. That is a one dead Maev.
JMac with the taunt to follow up does not allow for Maev to be able to blink away, and they're able to get that kill right before the next altar spawns, as Maev will be late to get back there with Contender. As in the top lane, we see Dicky able to escort in that camp, and Corix forced to back also. And Wood League looking to try to pick up their camp here before the altar spawns in 5 more seconds.
Well, what's interesting is I'm not sure who has the advantage here in terms of the third. It'll be a 4-on-4, Maev and both late, but really both teams are going to be late because Dahaka was waddling down and Woodley was taking their camp, so now we have full 5-on-5, and Tomb was used, Dahaka was thrown, Cocoon is used, a lot of things coming out here early in the fight.
Yeah, as Droopy just being forced into that Pyroblast, and a huge cage there does a ton of damage to the backline of Wood League, as now attention turns onto JMac, gets to throw onto Dicky, but he will pay for it with his life. And now Found Vikings start to get that channel and get their 4 shots there to get it a little bit closer, close the gap to 32 to 28, but not before the camp of Wood League with the Sappers is able to get in. And just about, no, the minions are not able to take that last tower to finish off the gate. But now Found Vikings look to maybe potentially finish off this bot tower.
Yeah, that bottom tower turret for Found Vikings has 86 health. And that is one basic attack from pretty much any hero in the game. And you will see that bottom bell tower going over to Found Vikings. They'll have a lead in there, putting pressure onto Anubarak. His defense, Lifebinder having to be popped, that should save his life. But this is, I mean, right now, this is a good defense by Wood League, but Found Vikings is putting all the pressure onto Wood League. I mean, you've got the bot battle tower, you've got a whole lot of control top. Leoric was able to get the mid lane to go to the side of Wood League in terms of having the wave clear advantage, but he has to respond top, or else they're going to lose a whole lot of structure damage there too. So really right now in terms of map control, it's hugely in favor of Found Vikings.
Yeah, as now Wood League trying to see if they can get back their tower in time, but with the altar spawning here in 20 seconds, they don't have enough time for the defense, and with both altars coming bot, that's really one of the worst case scenarios for them. However, PJ Tim is low on mana for this next phase, along as with Dicky, who fails to get the tongue there. But damage is being pushed out onto JMac there with Contender with the nice tether, but Dicky being thrown in here now. Let's see if they can get the kill.
They won't find the kill onto him, they'll drop Cyan low. Leoric trying to cap in the mid lane Corix, but he gets interrupted by Sailor Sky's Alex Straza. And it's kind of interesting here because it looks like, well, Cyan almost died, but he manages to make it out. But right now, Found Vikings aren't really taking any towers. Now they will. They fully backed out and they're committing to it. But at first, they were just very hardcore defending that tower. And I understand you want to keep the bell tower. Leoric going down, very nice tongue by Dahaka, and nice follow-up stun by Anubarak. But kind of interesting how long they were willing to wait before moving back to cap these altars.
Well, the problem was Cyan actually took a lot of damage in that defense, but with bot altar being up, that allowed for them to just go down there and easily take that. As now Wood League trying to see if they can get it, but the nice throw onto Kael'thas confirms the kill there, even if they can't pick up by the Found Vikings.
Yeah. Oh, there's an Entomb coming out. That's much better Entomb than the first one we saw. She will pop Lifebinder and live. But that is, well, it's a slightly favorable cooldown trade in favor of Wood League, but 50 seconds for 60 seconds isn't huge. But they are able to pressure a Nubrak. He's in danger. He'll go down.
Yeah, and with the Dragon popped is not enough in order to save a Nubrak, as now Wood League looking to push in here and get a little, make their presence known on the spot lane.
Yeah, and there's that bot camp pushing in the bot lane for Found Vikings, but they are backing up to take their own, so it gets easy cleared by Asmodan. But this invade by Wood League is a little risky, but it looks to be turning out well for him. Dickie's very low, but so is Corex. Both teams need to be careful here.
A huge Entomb there by Corks, able to catch 2. Contender able to get out, but Cyan unfortunately does not have the blink like Maiev does. Able to get the kill there and then finish off the camp in order to start to threaten the spot bell tower.
Wow, and that was a nice play by a very nice Entomb to catch both of them, but because he is not level 20, does not have the buried alive, there's no silence, so Maiev able to just blink out. That's one of her specialties. Oh, watch out at Nubrak. He just found himself right in the middle of the crowd after that throw. Maybe positioned a little too aggressively, which will probably lead to the spot of Bell Tower going over to Wood League. But when you're Kael'thas, you don't have the blink like Maiev does, like you said, so that was a instant death sentence. And now, even though it's a 5 versus 3 shots advantage for Wood League, they are not in the best spot. They're a little late rotating up. They should be able to take the 2-for-1 trade here, but it's a little dangerous for them.
Yeah, however, they have been able to get 16 before this phase. There's a huge Hanzo area there by Droopy, able to get onto Cyan and Contender. Contender able to get the Lifebinder on him, but Cyan does not and goes down yet again. Now they're looking for Dickie, already burrowed, and he does end up going down after the throw. Now the engage going down.
You saw actually that the Kael'thas was from Cyan was trying to get his Pyroblast off. You could see the animation just start, and before the ball could get out, he was killed. So even the 10-second soft cooldown for it being interrupted in the middle of the cast animation really doesn't mean anything because his death timer is much longer than that. But preventing that damage from coming out, I'm not sure who it was coming onto, but the damage was going to be impactful no matter where it hit. That honestly could have been enough to even up that, to make that team fight a lot more even for Found Vikings. I don't know that it would have won it for him, but it would have made it a whole lot scarier for Wood League. So it was a great job to just finish bursting him down before he could get the Pyroblast off and to save their team from having to take that needless extra damage.
Boss being taken, towers go to 19-14 in favor of Wood League as they are able to pick up their camp here. Found Vikings seeing if they could get an engage, but take a little bit too much damage, so are forced to back off instead. Look for the clear. Contender gets the tether onto Kavlor. Droopy actually gets the peel arrow and is able to help Kavlor get away.
Cyan looking dangerously low right now. He's about half. He will get healed up with Alex Straza using both Q and W on him, but if I'm Cyan, I'm feeling a whole lot more uneasy this game than I was last game. Wood League has been doing a much better job of consistently putting the poke damage onto him, so he is sitting at half health a lot of the time when they look to engage. Although he finds that Pyroblast on Hanzo, so maybe he's not too scared.
And Pyroblast able to get the finish off there after Dragon was popped in order to try to see if they could confirm this bot tower, especially if they are putting enough pressure on in order to get the mid tower, as now both of the altars spawn in the top lane. It's looking like Corix and Dickie will be able to just trade off these top towers, with Found Vikings looking to re-engage onto this tower and finish it off.
Yeah, so that's actually fantastic by Leoric, being able to take that mid tower, and because Found Vikings could not take the bot tower fast enough, it meant they got a 5-for-3 trade on that, even though it was just 1-for-1 in terms of altars. Leo pushing top now, trying to threaten that, while Dahaka is busy trying to take back mid, and if he gets it, then even though bot is in the hands of Found Vikings, bot being such an impactful lane, I'd still rather have 2 lanes being your control than 1, even if it is the most powerful lane.
Oh, and Kael'thas actually getting caught out there by JMac, as now Found Wood League looking to see if they can get the invade, but not in time before Found Vikings able to get the cap off there. onto their camp. As we look top lane, as you noted, Korak's able to put a lot of damage onto this bell tower. Meanwhile, in mid lane, Dicky doing pretty much the same to the mid, as we see Wood League in the bot finally being able to take back their bot bell tower, and as it looks to even up 4-4 on both sides in this match.
Yeah, and I think probably what happened here is that because Wood League got that 20 advantage, from the side of Found Vikings, the call was, hey, we need to be very safe right now as we soak to 20. We do not want to give them a fight with Storm Talent advantage. So we're just going to go take ours back. We'll let them take theirs back. It's still 4-4 both ways, but we want the safe soak. And now they're looking to fight. Right now, Wood League is the ones that want to take this fight. They have the 20 advantage, and Dahaka is still not here. And neither is Kael'thas, as he just backed. So this would be a 5 versus 3 if they could find a fight. Although both of the missing members are moving in. They still have the 20 advantage. This would be a great fight for Wood League to take if they can find it.
As J-Mac looking to see if he can get a throw onto anyone with that taunt now. But as we look in top, Dicky starting to cap that bell tower. Korik's actually responding. And Running Idiot able to get the cap onto that bot bell tower as Sailor Sky forced to pop Dragon out as they look to go in.
And this is where it starts to get real scary from the side of Found Vikings. Oh, the Buried Alive and the arrow! Wow, what a combo!
Yeah, huge combo there by the two, is able to get the kill on to Kael'thas and Maiev. However, that does drop the main tanks, or the tanks of Wood League, very low, as now Dicky looking to go in, see if he can find the kill onto Running Idiot. However, with the rest of his team down, it will just be him alive, and he will be forced to go down here at the hands of Droopy.
And this is probably game ending. Wood League can just run down to the bot lane here, finish off this tower. That'll give them 5 shots, and they can just cap that mid altar. Korix, I don't think, will be up in time. Oh, so, excuse me, Korix is Wood League, and even if he is up in time to cap, that would be just a bonus for the side of Wood League. And yes, they will go ahead and move in. We see the GGs coming out in chat, even though the game is not officially over. This game is over. So we are going to be heading to a Game 3, a very strong performance by Wood League there, stepped it up a ton to take a 16-shot win on Towers of Doom, even us up at 1-1, and send us to a deciding Game 3.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
I mean, Droopy was able to put in a ton of damage with that Hanzo. And then once... Cavalier on that Asmodee was able to get some stacks. Both of them combined were able to do just a ton of burst damage and poke to both the front and back line of the Found Vikings, and that was just enough to be able to win a lot of the objectives late game.
Yep, and so our final tally is 18 kills to 11 in favor of Wood League. We saw Cyan dying 6 times in that game. I don't believe he died a single time in the first game. And that really made the difference. He took Mana Addict again. This time he only got 32 globes versus the 46 in the first game, which meant that shield had much less shield to it because it is based on the mana, and you get extra mana from the Mana Addict quest, which really was part of the reason that he had less survivability. But also in general, a much better job done by Wood League to force a whole lot of poke onto him. You would see that when those fights broke out, he would be at half health rather than the close to full health that you often saw him at the beginning of fights in game 1. So really, that was a lot of the difference, is that Kael'thas was a huge impact maker. He still led his team in damage game 2 despite the 6 deaths, but the fact that they were able to put the pressure on him and make him much less effective at doing his job really helped swing the tide in their favor. And especially near the end, a couple of one fights in the late game, as it tends to do on towers, started to swing the game their way, and they were able to take that victory.
Exactly, and as we look to start game number 3, we see we'll be on Tomb of the Spider Queen. After a very macro-heavy map, we see a much smaller map here. And with on the side of the Found Vikings, we got Sailor Sky again on that Ana, Alarak, contender with Alarak, Kael'thas, Yrel, and Johanna. And then on Wood League side, they got Blaze, Tronda, Murden, Gul'dan, Hanzo.
Yep. I like it. Both teams kind of staying true to what what got them here in a little bit of a sense, especially seeing that Kael'thas for the third straight game. But here we go, getting right into it. Our teams are setting up and getting ready for this deciding game on Tomb of the Spider Queen.
We start game number 3. It will be PJ Tim on the Johanna, Dicky on the Urel, Contender on Alrek, Cyan on Kael'thas, and Sailor Sky on Ana for the Found Vikings.
And on the red side, Wood League hoping to roll that Game 2 win into a series win. We've got Running Idiot playing Tyrande for the 3rd game in a row. J-Mac on Muradin this time. Korix back to the Blaze. Droopy playing Gonzo for the 3rd time. And Cavlord taking it back to Gul'dan. Here we go.
As Korix doing a lot of damage on a Dicky along with Droopy on that Hanzo again. However, not enough to be able to really confirm the kill there, as now both teams just trying to clear out this mid lane here, get that clear priority. J-Mac, a lot of damage there by Cavlor, forcing for the Found Vikings just to back up, but J-Mac does not want to, going in, trying to see if he can put some pressure on the Cyan, but he is able to get out.
Yeah, so here's some things I like, here's some things I don't like for both teams. On the side of Found Vikings, I really like you're keeping it with the Kael'thas. They keep letting you have the Kael'thas, and it's your impact player. Keep it up. Oh, hold on a second. Contender.
And Contender going really low there. However, Cavlor ends up getting bombed and goes down there at the hands of Cyan. Both teams really fighting aggressively here, even though they have low health bars. It ends up paying off with first blood going over to the Found Vikings.
Yeah, and that's part of why you like to see that Kael'thas back out. Getting those bombs that poke constant damage, it's worked great for him, and I like to see it back here. And I also really like the Ana coming back. Ana is so strong right now, and it worked out great for them in game 1. I'm really happy to see them bring it back. One thing I'm a little less enthused about, honestly, is the Urel here. Urel is still a powerful hero, don't get me wrong. It's not a bad pick. But, and I understand why you don't pick Dahaka here. Oh, speaking of the solo lane, Korix is very low and has to stand behind his gate. He is in danger of getting ganked if he steps up too far. But with Urel, she has been nerfed a lot since her glory days when she first came out, and she is still certainly playable, but she is one of the less impactful of the main solo lane heroes. I might have liked to see something like a Thrall, something with a little more wave clear, maybe an Imperious, but you know, we'll have to see. If it works out for him, that's great. So just a comment from the side of Wood League. I like that they're staying true to a Hanzo. It's worked out well for them. The Blaze, that worked out well for game 1. Although I think maybe you should have gone for the Leo in their shoes, because the Leo was what was. Watch out, Murden, but the Leo was what won him game 2, and in part it was because if Found Vikings managed to find him in a team fight, he could get up much sooner than a standard hero because of, you know, Leoric's trait, get him right back to the fight. And they just got quite a bit of value off of that. I might have liked to see that come back. Of course, it may have been banned out. I like the Tyrande. It's been working. You stick with it. Gul'dan, pretty good on this map for the poke. You just need to make sure that that poke is coming out onto Kael'thas, because that's what allowed them to win game 2.
Yeah, both teams just continuing to rotate in between top and bot, as we see the Found Vikings able to get enough gems early on to at least threaten a turn in now, with Wood League still 11 behind before they get their first turn in. We see...
Yep, we do see enough gems on the side of Found Vikings to turn in if they can find it. On the meantime, Wood League needs a few more gems before they can even make an attempt at a turn.
Exactly here, as both teams just continue to poke. J-Mac taking a ton of damage. However, he's able to easily heal up there on the Muradin. You know, in the bot lane, Korik's actually taking a lot of damage there by Dicky. However, oh, a fantastic interrupt there, but he will be able to step away there.
Yep, that is, I assume the reason that you would that they have picked Urel is that they still feel confident in the Urel getting those. It's just it is. That's a very risky charge in by Blaze in the bot lane, but Urel in the solo lane does have a lot of good displacement with the hammer, but the disadvantage is that she doesn't really have a lot of hard CC. Blaze has his E, he could go in and stun, and sure, Urel's hammer will stun briefly, but compared to something like Leoric having Entomb, Blaze having his E for a stun, something like Imperius's Spear, there's not that reliable hard CC other than just that brief stun if you can hit them with the hammer.
Yeah.
So that's the reason that you have to play a little differently when you draft that Euro.
Woodleague looking to actually finish off, and they will be able to turn in enough gems here to get the first Web Weaver phase of the game.
Yeah, and they also grab their camp here. No camp taken from the side of Woodleague, so that'll give a nice advantage to Found Vikings in terms of push. Right now, Yrel is pushing uncontested in the bot lane. Blaze is rotating back down to make sure that that does not continue to happen. Yrel has a lot of gems here.
So Woodleague looking to push out this mid lane after finishing off the Bruiser camp of Found Vikings. Meanwhile, in the top lane, we see Found Vikings prioritizing that top Web Weaver as it is the boss lane on this map before they're now starting to rotate down into that mid lane.
Oh, and Dicky in the bot lane against Korix gets Korix very dangerously low behind the Web Weaver. Korix cannot really do a whole lot here. He might actually have to fall back. He will. So all of the push is going to come here in the mid lane. Top lane was cleared very quickly. Bot lane, Yrel was able to pressure out Blaze, so he did not get a lot of value. Only one turret from the Web Weaver. And mid, also only one turret. Found Vikings did a fantastic job of clearing those Web Weavers. Very little value obtained by Woodleague on that push.
Yeah, and now Found Vikings are looking for a turn of their own as PJ Tim going in on trying to buy some space for his team after JMac doing a fantastic job of cleaning out a nice Q there by Contender, silencing the backline, but not being able to do enough damage to really burst someone down so far in this early game. Both teams now just trying to clear out this middle lane and top lane, see if they can get an early advantage.
Some nice stuns coming out, just a little bit of back and forth. No huge opening yet, but just a little bit of, oh, I'm gonna hit you, you're gonna hit me. Korix in a little bit of danger in the bot lane. Should be fine, but he took some tower shots. Droopy will have to rotate down to help him out a little bit. Think he's gonna back up. Cannot risk losing those 38 gems.
Meanwhile, Cavalier in the top lane took a lot of damage, almost fell to that lightning strike of Contender, but with how low Woodleague is, they're gonna look to see if, or Found Vikings are gonna look to see if they can get a turn in. Good stall though so far coming out by Droopy.
Yep, doing a good job of stunning. Oh, Muradin has to be a little careful. He's tanky. He does have the leap, but still has to be a little cautious. If he steps up too much, anybody can get bursted down.
Yeah, as with 10 spec, got Pyroboss going on a running idiot, not able to do enough damage, however, as right now, Found Vikings able to push their advantage a little bit with the ults taken, and Contender able to turn in his 20 gems.
Yeah. Oh, there's a big Horrify coming out. Cyan might be in trouble. Pop the arrow too, he will go down, and that's what they need to be doing if they want to stay in this game. Get that damage out onto that Kel'Thas.
It was a good combination, but PJ Tim in the meanwhile was able to get the turn in that top turn in, and thus there will be a Web Weaver phase coming out for Found Vikings as they're actually looking to get engaged onto JMac there. However, it's not enough as now the turnaround coming on the side of Woodleague, but Johanna's really hard to be able to get down, especially when you're already down a Hanzo.
You know, what I'd like to point out here is that Dicky is holding 44 gems. They turned in 50 gems while still having a member that is holding 44 gems. And with the 15 that Johanna is holding, that means they have enough for a second turn in as soon as this turn in finishes. So you gotta watch out for that if you're Woodleague, that Found Vikings could go for that double turn in if you're not careful. You're gonna have to protect that turn in as soon as this Web Weaver phase is over.
Okay, Dicky rotated up as they're looking for a fight, but the poke damage of Woodleague is just too much, so they're forced to back off and go into the mid lane and see if they can get some push going there. It's actually zoned out there is JMac there, Dicky getting the push, a ton of stun and CC going out, but Droopy with that Hanzo arrow is able to do enough. However, it won't be enough to silence, forcing the ult there by JMac, as Contender will fall to the poison damage of Gul'dan, as now they're looking for an engage on the side of Woodleague. Looks like our defender forced to be pushed, or they're forced to pop the ult of Yrel there. The nice stun there by Korix will not be enough. Fantastic healing by Sailor Sky, but he's out of mana and is not able to finish off healing or topping off that Yrel.
Yeah, that was a great job to finish off that Yrel. She had so many gems. And while the Found Vikings were able to pick up both of the large 20 gems that dropped, so they didn't lose too much. They got at least the majority of them back. It still is a big loss, and it killed any hope they had of getting the double turn-in. Wood League able to get the turn-in of their own. Yrel will be back up in time, so it will be a 5v5 for the defense. But it's a pretty good position for Wood League. They've got all of their waves pushed out to at least the halfway point. Well, top is a little bit pushed in, but bot is way pushed out. Mid is about at the even point, and now it looks like they're just going to go ahead and push top for that boss lane.
13 now picked up on the side of Wood League here as they look to push in on this top lane. And actually, Hanzo goes down to the Kael'thas in this mid lane as he was just trying to solo clear there. And that creates a potential for an advantage for the Found Vikings.
Yeah, I was gonna say this was looking very strong for Wood League on this push, having a talent tier advantage and even men, but all of a sudden they're down. It's 5v4, although it is a 4v4, but that gives Yrel free clear in the bot lane. She has finished, so she will rotate up. And so that Hanzo getting picked off really hurt Wood League there. They could have had a much stronger push if they could have forced the 5v4. And they also didn't get a chance to do a whole lot with their 13 advantage. We're all evened up with both teams at 13 right now.
Yeah, and now the Found Vikings actually still have enough for a turn-in, even though they lost quite a few gems on Yrel. So they turn on into trying to find their bruiser camp here before potentially looking for a turn-in.
Yeah, looks like they're just going to leave Yrel in the bot lane. Yrel's in a little bit of trouble, but she'll be okay. Having the rest of them clear that camp, probably going to look for a turn-in now. Actually, Muradin, a little far up. But a really nice Horrify should save his life.
Yeah, fantastic Horrify by Cavalier. However, there is an engage there. Fantastic backline stun by Corvex as the damage is going out. It will finish off Sailor Sky. But now the tension turning onto that Yrel. Dicky forced to use his ult, but will be able to get out for now.
Yeah, Ardent Defender popped it. It still almost wasn't enough. It will be enough, though. Dicky will live another day. Will be forced to back, though. This is a very nice spot for Wood League, especially with Contender falling. So, though, they could probably just push this bot forward. Looks like they're going to go ahead and take the bot camp to try to safely secure it. But they do now. Now is even. Contender just going to have to back super low at this point. So it looks like with the power of this camp, Wood League should be able to push down this bot forward.
However, Found Vikings aren't going to give up without a fight. Dicky forced to step up a little bit to clear. J-Mock rotating down now. Gets the stun out onto Dicky. The damage going out. Cavalier able to do almost half of Dicky's health, but Sailor Sky able to heal it back up. The pressure still going on to Dicky here. But without all 5 members, it's going to be a hard fight for Wood League to take. Contender looking to see if he can catch out J-Mock, but not able to. Cavalier instead putting out the poke damage, and Wood League forced to back out here of this fight.
Yeah, Blaze was soaking that top in the mid lane, which is good. You want to get that soak advantage, but it meant they could take a big fight. That's a big fear, but most of the people are running away, so they can't put the damage out into them. Hit a lot of members with that fear. That's a nice arrow, though. However, if it's a counterattack, he still might be in trouble.
Yeah, Contender, as actually Power Boss does go down and get Cavalier, and Contender is able to actually walk out with his life, as now Wood League is on full retreat here, and it looks like the Found Vikings will actually not chase for now.
Actually, Blessed Shield was used in that fight, but it missed everyone, but they still won the fight. That was a very impressive play by Found Vikings. They had 2 members falling so low, and they had Blessed Shield, which is one of your most important forms of stun engage, just completely with everybody. And they still got a 1-for-0. Like, that is just incredible. It's like the worst conditions you can imagine, and they still got the favorable end of the trade.
Yeah, as damage going out onto Corex, even popping the counter-strike there, and then it was going on to Cyan as they're looking to go in here. However, Wood League just taking an opportunity to back up as they're still waiting for Cavalier to get back here. Found Vikings looking to see the turn in, however, it's stalled out there by running Idiot. As now it's a zone war here between Found Vikings and Wood League until Found Vikings finally able to get that turn in.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine if you're Wood League. You got the 16 advantage. You're a little concerned about your Blaze. You might want to just tap. He's going to full back here. Okay, which makes sense. He's very low on mana and he's quite low on health too, although this does mean they'll have to take a 4v4, both teams on 16 tier. They may just lose this fort, and if they're not careful, they may lose a member as well.
And J-Mac going in deep, trying to follow up with Fighting Idiot's stun, forcing out the Night Stalk by Tyrande, as they're looking to go in and see if Found Vikings are trying to get this fort. Damage going out there onto Corex there. Nice stun by Cyan. However, there's no real follow-up damage, as instead they're looking to see if they can catch out J-Mac. Good fear there, and follow-up
nice
stun by Corex.
Yeah, but this shows you the poke power. Oh, Corex, he just backed and he's already dead. You saw him back not 30 seconds ago, and he was at half health almost immediately. Oh, Hanzo will fall to the Web Weaver wave. This looks really bad for Wood League here.
Yeah, as now J-Mac potentially getting caught out, as forced to actually pop his ult in order to survive, as now the keep will be going down to Found Vikings. Wood League needs to be careful to make sure that they don't continue to trickle these deaths here, and even snowballs potentially into core.
Yeah, this is crazy. It was a super even game with the start of this Web Weaver push. And I was thinking they'll get the top fort for sure, and they might get one, possibly both of the other forts, but this should be defendable beyond that. But now they turned it into all of the forts and 2 keeps. It was such a well-played push by Found Vikings. They might even get the 3rd keep here. They've just taken command of this game 3 here.
Yeah, as Found Vikings able to get that bottom keep, but Corex able to get the stun on the Cyan there. The damage is going out, and it will be enough. Drooping in the final blow, as now it looks like Wood League continuing to go in. Contender now taking a ton of damage, able to heal up though with the lightning, but Droopy continuing to put in a ton of damage there. J-Mac getting the stun onto Contender there, even with the nano boost healing him with that lightning. It's not enough as they continue to go after. Now Sailor Sky onto the Ana is going to easily drop there. PJ Tim has already used Iron Skin, and so will go down at the hands of, it appears, Blaze with Corex.
Wow, and so what was kind of funny there was that they popped the Horrify, and the Horrify sent Urel away from the rest of the team, and they didn't pick off Urel, they picked off the entire rest of the team. And of course you'll take that trade every day. You don't take the 1, you take the 4. Or 3 if in this case, because I believe the Kael'thas was already dead, but still. You figure you see one guy run in the opposite direction of the team, you're going to take out the 1, not the entire rest of the team, but that's exactly what they did. And even though they have a huge structure disadvantage, having lost all of their structure with this boss, and they have a very slight level lead for all practical purposes, this is even in XP, but still, they've evened up the XP, they took the boss, they took away all of the gems except for the 44 that Urel was able to turn in. This is a lot better for Wood League than it was just 30 seconds ago.
Yeah, as I'm sorry guys for the lag, closed the stream there. Hopefully that will help out with the stream lag. It's now with Boss pushing, Wood League looking to see, is able to get the fort, however they back off and instead get their Web Weavers in order to push in and see if they can get a couple keeps to respond to Found Vikings' last push in, as Boss finally falls at the hand of Found Vikings.
Yep, and they also were able to gain a noticeable XP lead. It's not huge, but it's big enough that they may be able to grab 20 and take a fight with it here. Although it looks like they're just going to engage early. Here comes a huge fight.
As a big Hanzo air by Droopy does a huge stun, but there wasn't really a ton of follow-up damage, but now they're continuing to go in there. Corex looking to go in, gets a huge stun there onto Dicky, and the damage will not be enough there. Good healing by Sailor Sky to keep him up. Spunker drop looking to do a little bit of siege damage there, as however already the spider has gone down for Wood League.
Yeah, and that was the disadvantage for Wood League of all that damage flying out. And they have 20, but they don't get to do anything with it. 20 picked right back up by Found Vikings. But with that push, with all of that damage being thrown out in that fight, a lot of that damage ended up going onto the Web Weaver as well. And so it fell before it had a chance to do much of anything. They will get that mid fort down and get wall damage in every lane. No, nothing noticeable in the bot lane, but they get a turret in the mid lane and a turret in the top lane in terms of keep walls, and they get the last fort. Oh, Muradin's in trouble.
Yeah, J-Mac looking to do a little bit of scouting, but might be cut out himself here. Gets the leap away, gets actually the stall on a contender there. However, there's a ton of CC looking to go his way. Droopy gets the arrow there onto Cyan. However, it's not enough as J-Mac is forced to pop his ult here. However, it looks like Woodley looking to go in, and Korax getting the stun onto PJ Tim. And the damage continuing to go out there. Dicky continuing to zone out J-Mac there. However, the damage now turning on to Sailor Sky with Droopy, putting a lot of Q damage onto there. Huge Horrify, doing a ton of damage and CC onto PJ Tim and the rest of the team. However, they won't be enough, and actually Pyroblast able to be used on Droopy. It looks like Toronto will not be enough there, as now the damage turns back onto Contender. Ton of damage there by Cavalier in order to do some damage. However, it's easily healed up there by Sailor Sky. J-Mac looking to see if they can finish off PJ Tim. However, continuing to do a lot of healing there by Sailor Sky, as now it looks like J-Mac going to be punished there. Korax looking to do a little bit more CC. He's able to pop Bunker and is now looking to try to see if he can back up. Running Idiot doing the peeling stun, as the damage from Kael'thas will not be enough in order to finish off the bomb. And I don't think that Found Vikings are going to be able to try and continue the chase. Actually, they are, as they are gaining silence onto J-Mac. A nice Q there in order to try to get away. He's forced to use his reset there in order to get a leap, and he will be able to successfully escape.
All right, so you know, here's my important stat from this team fight. The most important stat that I believe tells the story of that team fight. 1 death for Wood League, 0 deaths for Found Vikings. And I mean, that's huge, because both teams got most, if not all, of the members of the other team low, but that allows Found Vikings to get the turn in, to continue stepping up and threatening Wood League here. And look, they found another kill on Gul'dan before Hanzo could even do anything. He just now gets up and play the game's in, but it's a 5v4 again, and this might be all that Found Vikings need to take the game if they can get another kill and maybe a turn in.
And J-Mac tries to stall, but pays with his life in order to, as now finally Sailor Sky able to turn in that last gem, and Found Vikings are looking to go core with the already being able to take down 2 members of Woodley and get the Web Weavers descending into all 3 of these lanes already pushed out to core. It's a very dire situation here for Woodley.
5v3, most of the shields on core are already down because there were Winions there, and all 3 waves of Web Weavers going on the core. Web Weavers aren't even there, and they've already got the core down to 80%. Gul'dan's the first one up, and he's still 15 seconds away with 30 seconds for Mura. Bunker pop, but it goes down almost immediately. This is terrible for Wood League, and it looks like this will be the game.
As now Pyroblast going on, and Droopy will finish him off as well, as that will be game number 3 and the series going over to the Found Vikings.
Yeah, and so a very well played series as a whole by both teams. A lot of exciting stuff going back and forth. Your final kill numbers for game 3 being 11-8 in favor of Found Vikings, but I would say it was Kael'thas that made the difference for those maps. In game 1, I believe he had 0 deaths, and he was just pumping out the damage. They did not get to him at all. Cyan was just going crazy, and Woodley didn't have an answer. In game 2, Cyan still on Kael'thas, 6 deaths, and that was huge. The fact that they kept pressuring him